This Hangout on Air is live. It's Alicia Stringer here, always empowering success dreams. And I am out here in Nashville. If you guys can hear me and you're watching this live, please put in the comments below, I can hear you, Alicia, because I'm out here by myself. And so sometimes you don't know if your microphone's working right. I see the little green lever that's showing I have some sound, but still you kind of never know when you're by yourself if you got the technical side working, because that is not reason why I'm here, to show you anything technical. We're here for the Millionaire Mindset Hangout, and I'm out here in Nashville today, and I have a little girl that's in school right now, and she is why I'm trying to stay home and find some ways to make some income online. But it's so important to have your mindset first, and it's one of those reasons why that keeps me going, to help me find, your purpose in life, find a reason why you're here, find your stability in what you're doing, is to keep that mindset strong, right? To keep that mindset going. So I love the reason why we created this Hangout. We're having our daily, we kind of watch replay, but we come here weekly to find the reason why we're having our millionaire mindset. And we've interviewed so many people on the shifts they had in their mindset shifts in their business, and it's been so impactful for my life. I love to go back through the replays and going, I'm going to do that to help me get to that next level as well. I'm going to go listen to the audio, just like they said, that enabled their shift to happen in their life. And I'm also going to be reading the books that they recommend so I can find new insights in order to push me to the next level. So that is what we were doing today, to be able to get you to the next millionaire mindset with the 4-hour work week. I know so many of the people that we've interviewed live has just recommended over and over and over the 4-hour work week, the 4-hour work week by Timothy Ferriss. And so I've been diving down to this book. I remember listening to the replay, to the audio one year, and just went straight through. And there are some blockages, things that stopped me from what I was listening to. I think maybe because I get turned off by some of the cussing in it, and I think he was the word that was in there, and so it has some cussing, and I didn't take that. But when I've been reading the book, I get a different insight from it, and I think a lot of people get that way from different books, is that they listen to an audio and it's totally different than when they just read the book. And so I always recommend doing both so you can get both insights. Of course, I know some people listen to audios and then listen to them in different speeds, if you can be able to turn on that speed. Or if you're not able to understand reading, if you can't, like if you're learning English and you want to do that, there's actually an app, and let's see if I can remember what it's called. I think I have it, that will take your book and will give it to you in audio form. Let's see if I can find it. It's not Scribed, but I think Scribed also does some books like that. Voice Paper, I think that's really cool. A Voice Paper app will, if you download the book into that app, it will actually let you listen to the audio of it. So that's really cool. So if you don't have time, maybe you're on the road and you want to listen to your book, put it in Voice Paper, a little cool app, little trick. That's my technical trick for you. So you can listen to your book on paper. So hopefully it was helpful. I'm going to check the Hangout page and see if you guys can hear me. I want to refresh this. Oh, good. Chef Rowe, hear you. Thank you so much. I got that comment for you. Okay, so we are going into the 4-hour work week, and I emailed my subscribers a link to get the download. So you have no excuses to get the book, even though I highly recommend you purchase it, right? So I don't get any bad vibes from the author, because we recommend Timothy Ferriss for writing this book. So always, purchase it. Just always like the different formats of it. Being able to put on Kindle, put it in, like I said, I shared an app where you can put your book in there, lots of different ways. And now I lost my book. I'm gonna have to go back to my emails to make sure I get my own download. Open it up here. Okay. So the 4-hour worker, I also have shared some insights. So each chapter, there was a way that it really challenged you to go through different insights. So if we don't have a topic or have a guest for next week, I'm probably going to say this is the insights of point 2, because there's so many insights from this book that you can really take it to new levels. The first one I just wanted to share. There's like tons of fear questions, and they really define a lot of questions. So I'm going to read you some of the, if you're not familiar with the 4-hour work week is, I want to read some of the chapter titles so you can get a big overview. And then I'm going to go through some of the questions and see if that can challenge you as you're listening to me or as you're watching me, however you like to watch your Hangouts, to give you some new insights on this, on the book here. So some of the titles has a great intro on here. Let's see if I can scroll down to find the titles. Okay, so he breaks up this book into different ways. And so he starts you right off with doubters. Do you really believe, do you really think you can have a 4-hour work week and be able to travel the world, live your passions, do what you love, and only work 4 hours? So he addresses this right away and be able to put that into your mindset of what is really truly possible. And then he breaks down in the book into 4 different sections before he gives you some bonus chapters of examples and ways to really apply it. So the first one is D for definition. So defining, and I was challenged, just on the retirement mindset of this factor of, definition of what is the 4-hour week, what is possible. Number 2 is E for elimination. And what do you really have to have in order to have that 4-hour mindset or 4-hour work week? Because you can eliminate so much busy work, and he really discusses that. And step number 3 is A for automation. Being a mom, I love everything on automation. It's got to be on autopilot. It's got to be done. I don't want to have to do all this mindset work. So I am totally on automation. If you see my IFTT, if you see all the stuff I schedule out, I am totally on automation. And number 4, L is for liberation. I'm still working on applying this, so brace me on applying this concept. This is maybe a whole little hangout. It could be about itself, because how you really embrace this mobile lifestyle, if that's what you want, embrace what the rich do, what are their mistakes, some of the great topics in here, and some of the bonus chapters that are given to examples, how to get from 700,000 to advertising for 10,000. How to learn any language in 3 months. It's crazy. The Muse math. I mean, all these different little insight bonus chapters really enable you to give examples and challenge yourself to the new mindset. So let me check my page. What questions or what challenges I have for you right now before we dive into the book of, getting to that 4-hour work week. I want to see some comments. Maybe if you've read it before, or insights, or say, I have no idea, I've never read this book, and you're ready just to get some insights. Put that in the comment there below in the page. Just go ahead and set your intentions now of what you want to get out of this hangout, because that is how you internalize what you're going to get out of, because everybody always prejudges or expects something. That's how testimonials are so powerful. They already expect 4-hour work week. They already know, they are already doubting something, right? They already have this perception. They have a perspective of what they are looking at into the 4-hour work week now. So comment below. I want you to know, put that intention out right now. What is it that you really fear? Have you read the book before? What are your questions that you have on defining what this 4-hour work week is? And when you're doing that, you've started. You've got a place to start. So that's where I kind of had to first define my goals. I had to limit it down to 4 or 5, and they kind of all flow together. And because they're pretty personal, I'm not going to share them exactly right now, but they come out in different times. If you really follow me, you know where my passion is and what I'm trying to do in my life, and how I'm able to transform myself to help so many more people reach their success dreams that I help strive for. So being that, trying to be that influential mom, that we all want to be, and trying to be doing the actions that we're doing, I'm going to go to page 50 in the book if you want to follow along with me, if you got it open. If I can go down to it. And this is where it has the different fear questions. And I wanted to come out and personally ask you to really think about those fear questions. Hopefully I have my friend Valerie come out. I think she was just getting up. She's out in California, so it's a couple hour time difference. It's in the morning there for her. And then we had Keisha, and she is doing a mastermind with the people that are around her. And Greta has 6 kids and has some challenges with her family and can't be out with us. So I am pressing on doing this by myself. And on page 50, inside the 4-hour work week, it asks some questions and actions. And it really, when I said perception or perspective, that's really what these questions are asking you. The first one they labeled, how is being realistic or responsible kept you from the life you want? So that is a pretty powerful question for me, being that, I want to be a responsible mom. I want to be that mom that looks up to, responsible, that I am, a mom here for her, kind of like I've got to be the mom figure here. It's not like I'm going to pass it off to somebody else. I've got to be responsible enough that I can take care of her, right? You're taking care of someone else. So being in that position, how has being that realistic or being responsible kept you from the life you want? Now, a lot of people saying, if I didn't have kids, life would be totally different. Obviously, yes. So being that if my daughter was not in my life, how would life be different? Obviously, it'd be, totally different. You'd be living a more free lifestyle of who you want to be, of whatever you're going to do. But when you have that responsibility, you have that other kid in your life, how has that stopped you from having the life you want? And that is just challenging in a way that, yes, you would have totally different lives in your life, but I would not change it in the world. Like, I would always want to have my daughter. Like, when she's not with me, a part of me is missing. And it's not like how I would live my life any differently. So I have a little different insight going, this is the reason why I am responsible, why I am here wanting to be realistic. And I don't think she has kept me from the life I want. I think she creates the life I do want. And I think a lot of people look at that maybe in a different light, the responsibilities that you have. So I'm trying to understand where he's coming from and why he's asking these stupid questions, because that is, the life I do want is to have my child around there. So I do want to have that responsible, realistic life. So I want to know what your insights are from that question as well. Wanting to know what is your insight from that as well, being responsible or, kept you from that life that you really want. Okay, so the next question is, how has doing what you should resulted in subpar experiences or regret for not having done something else? And I think you should be aware of that the experience that you do want to create has not stopped you from what you really want. So I think he's just looking for, what experiences do you want? And I always look for different ways I can create those experiences, because if you don't create those experiences, no one else is going to do it for you. And you can't regret not doing those experiences that you want to create because you haven't created them yet. So have a different outlook on that. I really like your insights on your answer to the question. You got to comment and just put the first thing that comes to your mind, even though you don't think it's right or wrong. How has doing what you should resulted in subpar experiences or regret for not having done something else? Number 3 is look at what you're currently doing and ask yourself, what would happen if I did the opposite of people around me? What will I sacrifice if I continue on this track for 5, 10, or 20 years? So I think that really allows yourself to reevaluate the situation you are in right now with maybe how you're making income, how you are presenting yourself, because daily you should be imagining the person you want to become, and what will that look like in 5, 10, 20 years, because you want to look past, what your kids will look like in the future as well. What will they see you looking like going back to what you're doing right now? And I think that's a pretty powerful question to ask on any goals when you're trying to set up. Valerie is here. Excellent. Thanks for joining. I just started going through the 4-hour work week. I think some people can hear me.
All right.
They're hanging on and listening from the questions I first gave out was just the first questions about on, just to reset themselves up to look at the 4-hour work week. How is being realistic or responsible kept you from the life you want? How has, should those resulted subpar experiences or regret for not having done something else? And number 3, look at what you're currently doing right now and ask yourself, what would happen if I did the opposite of people around me? What would I sacrifice if I continue on this track for 5, 10, 20 years? So in your insights, Valerie, from those 3 questions, when that sets up the book.
The thing that pops up for me right away actually is, actually, I think it was the third, the last one that popped up, because for me, what set me in motion into actually doing this was having, and I've talked about it before in the Hangout, is having this powerful realization, right? I'm, as you guys I'm Valerie Jampolsky, and the Abundance Mom Feederpreneur from Abundance Now, and I've got twin 5-year-old boys. Well, there was a time when I was just pregnant with the twins. I was sitting in my office, and this was the thing. It was like a pivotal moment for me. Sitting in my office, very, very, very pregnant with the twins, where I had a realization that if I kept doing what I was doing, right, I was never, ever going to see my kids. They were going to be raised by nannies. They were going to be raised by nannies, for goodness sake, because never mind daycare, because I would not be able to go and pick them up and be with them. And when they were little, especially, oftentimes, with the life of, because I was an attorney, the life of an attorney, my goodness, I'd be lucky if I even tucked them in at night. And chances are many nights I wouldn't even be able to do that. And to be able to really travel the way I wanted to travel, to be able to really make a difference and talk to people and talk about the things that really matter to me, right? It was I had that pivotal moment. And for me, maybe, it took being pregnant with these 2 little beings for me to just kind of like wake up and go, wow, I need to shift this. I need to shift this. There's got to be a way. There's got to be a way. And that set me on the path. That's what set me on the path to search, to ultimately be able to do what we're doing right now. But you know what I'm saying? That was the key trigger for me, was that awareness of what was going to happen to my kids. I wasn't going to be able to be the mom that I wanted to be, or be the person that I wanted to be, and the things and the dreams and everything. Does that make sense? Is that resonating?
Oh yeah, that's exactly what I said. I said, I want to be a responsible mom, and I want to be there, so I had a tough time answering those questions, because this is the life I do want. I want to have that responsible and realistic life of being a mom, and having any other way to other shift would is not me. It's not what I would really want. So I was trying to shift. If my daughter was not in my life, yeah, things would totally be different. But and you can't say, oh, I don't want my daughter anymore. You have to say, this is what I do want. I want to have a kid. I do want my daughter in my life. And this is the reason why I'm changing my life, or reason why I want to be around her. And this is the path I want to take in order to show that I'm responsible in life, and, all that good stuff. So that's why I had like a shift going, what I'm currently doing now, I want to change some things. So I am a mom that she sees where I want to go, what I'm doing, and creating a better life for us and stuff like that. So, yeah. Questions. I don't know. I had a lot of different insights trying to understand some of these things in this book, so different perspective from what he was looking at. So I'm still like putting myself through the challenges of this book. So that was the first doubt questions that it goes through. And then it goes through the step 1 is D is definition. And every chapter inside this book challenges you with some different questions of what was just read, what was just applied. So you can really take and form of what he's trying to teach you. And so I'm trying to find the next C section that he talks about. Is the first one is D for definition, and page 56 is some of the fear questions that he was going through and sharing that. Let me see if I can find one that he shared. Fears comes in many forms. Do you think it will improve, or is it wishful thinking and an excuse for inaction? Is what he discusses with fear.
Could you repeat that again? Repeat that again from what you're reading.
Okay, so fear comes in many forms, and we don't call it by its 4-letter name. Fear is itself quite fear-inducing. Most intelligent people in the world dress it up as something else, optimistic denial. Most who avoid quitting their jobs entertain the thought that their course will improve with time or increases in income. This seems valid and is tempting hallucination when a job is boring or uninspiring instead of pure hell. Pure hell forces action, but anything less can be endured with enough clever realization. So here's his question. Do you think it will improve, or is it wishful thinking and an excuse for inaction?
Oh, meaning that the current situation will improve, or is it wishful thinking for inaction? Well, okay, gotcha. Okay. Well, see, I think it's going to depend on what it is that you're doing, right? Like when I'd stayed at my job, what I was doing, and I was miserable for years, and so for a lot of folks do that. I mean, like I was making 6 figures, and I call it the golden handcuffs, right? Because I was making enough to create a fairly good lifestyle, but it was still, a lot of us, we tend to live, paycheck to paycheck. Doesn't matter what you're making. A lot of folks tend to do that. And, but even then there was a cap. There was a cap on what was possible, right? And in fact,
Mommy,
what, sweet pea?
can I watch on the phone?
No, not right now, sweetheart. Not right now. We'll do that after, sweet pea. Yeah.
Not blueberries.
Yeah, I'll get you blueberries in a sec, sweetie. I might have to hop off in a second, get some blueberries, and come right back. But the life of a mompreneur, I get to do this, right? He's up, he wants blueberries. So, and the thing is for me, it was like really realizing that it wasn't changing. And in fact, what was happening in the corporate level is there were people were being cut back. My hours were being cut back. And I was paid by the hour, and most people are, either paid by the hour or paid a salary, and, holidays where everything was being cut back. And I didn't have control over my environment and what was possible. And it was definitely not going to make it possible for me to be home and have like precious moments with my kids. That was the absolute clarity that I did get. But now when starting with it as an entrepreneurial business, I think it's a different situation in the sense that it's about, when you're learning new skills and learning new things, to go, well, it's not magic, and to stay, what, sweet pea?
I want blueberries and cherries.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna get the blueberries and cherries. So right after this, I'm gonna get blueberries and cherries, guys. We have a request. So, and it's about if you're an entrepreneur and sticking and starting with that, to realize that it's things don't happen immediately overnight. I mean, they can happen really quickly when you have the right system, and if you're taking action. Some folks get in and involved, like, with our business, when I started putting it into action, oh my goodness, $3,000 days, crazy things happen, right? But a lot of people don't take action. They don't take the action. They don't, or they get stuck. This things can happen, stuff can happen, and not working through it and getting through to the other side. When you're in something, if you're involved in something that allows you to grow, that allows you to expand, that allows you to be you, and allows you to live the freedom lifestyle, that's when it's something you say, okay, I am not going to stop because I hit a bump. I'm going to move around it, come through it, go around it, figure out what's going on. Do you see what I'm saying? I think it really depends on what it is and where you are. For me, it was massive to realize when I was stuck in something that did not have any growth, did not give me the ability to have the freedom that I wanted, that I had to make a change. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to go get some blueberries and raspberries. Cherries.
Yeah. Go ahead. I'm going to the next section because it really, you have to understand, be aware of that fear first in order to move forward to see yourself where you want to go. And that's why he puts the step 1 as D for definition. And the next thing he goes through is once he has that fear questions, then you define it. And now he has defining questions, and there's about 4 of them, 4 or 5 or so, 6, 7. There's several of them before you reset to do the next one. So I don't know how long you wanted to do this, Valerie. It's like half an hour now. I've almost been on. And I really love these questions, and it really sets it up. That's why I thought we might want to do different parts maybe this month, because I was like, I need a book month. We've had so many powerful leaders that really recommend that, how we can really dive into defining this. I think will really help people understand this. So the first step, D for definition, is to define your nightmare. Oh my goodness. I have, it seems like this comes first to me, like the first thing I said. Like if you have a doubt, like this is the first thing that comes to your mind, right? Like the first thing people out of their mouth, what if, that doubt. And so this is how he words it. He puts it all clumped together. Define your nightmare. The absolute worst that can happen if you did what you are considering. What doubts, fears, and what ifs pop up as you consider the big changes you can or need to make. Envision them in painstaking detail. Painstaking detail. Oh my goodness. What it would be the end of your life? What would be the permanent impact, if any, on a scale of 1 to 0? Or 1 to 10, I think he says. What would be that permanent impact, if any, on scale 1 to 10? Are these things really permanent? How likely do you think it is that they would actually happen? Oh my goodness. This is the worst.
Yeah. I personally don't like digging for a lot of different reasons, digging into what could go wrong. Right.
Yeah,
I understand why he's going there, because the idea is to say, well, maybe it's not, the worst, the end of the world. But the problem is and this is going to be sacrilegious, but I'm going to say it because I just think it's really powerfully important. And Wayne Dyer actually has his own take on this, which is, if you're focusing, folks that focus on the mistakes of the past, if you're going to, he's talking about the mistakes of the past, but oftentimes fear comes from worrying that your current situation is that if you continue with fear comes from worrying about, basically it's future casting negative scenarios. And when you future cast negative scenarios, unfortunately, there's a tendency to create them. So I'm actually not even in this moment going to go into the deep, dark place of it, because the reality is, anything is, it's more, for me, it's more about the awareness of what's possible in the moment. Because if I am to go into and buy into any kind of fears of the future, I'm going to create it, right? And for me, a bigger shift has been to realize that everything is possible in the here and now. And the worst possible thing that could happen is that I don't get that right now, right? Because if I don't get that I already have everything right now in the now, there's a way, you know, we have it in the invisible. It's a matter of then living and taking action in that direction. What's going to happen is a continuation of the current, and that would be bad. If it was, you know, for me when it was at my job, right? Especially, and that anything that happens in our lives can be shifted. Maybe this is what he's heading to, is that anything that happens in our lives, everything has a purpose and a reason. You know, I mean, you think of the person that really wants to get a new house and they're focusing on getting this, they want to have a better house, they want to have a better house, and then what happens, their current house burns down. Well, that opens up the ability to have a new house. I made this massive determination that I didn't want to be, you know, I wanted to be home with my kids, right? And then what happened, 6 months into my maternity leave, studio goes bankrupt and lays everybody off, right? You know, you hear that so many people that make this massive determination, and then it's kind of like the universe goes, okay, here you go, right? Stuff that might seem like a negative, you know, is a positive. It's anything that I've realized, and it's having the realization that anything that has happened in my life or could happen in my life always brings me back to the realization of a deeper awareness of who I am, my value, my calling, what I have to give in this world, and the fact of the value of the connectedness of who we all are, and what's possible. That, you know, the abundance is really right here in the moment, in the now. And if we, you know, to create the ability to be able to live that and breathe that, you know, sometimes things have to fall away, like a job, and go do something else. Like for me, finding a way so that I could be home with my kids, so I could live the life that I wanted. And yeah, because what? You can always go back to a job. I'm not going to do it. But I don't want to even, you know, it's going into those places that I just know that there's always a way out, and no matter what happens, there's always a way, and that anything that happens is either part of the process, or me just happened because I was buying into the negative at the time. I was buying into fears, I was buying into all those beliefs, and so therefore I created them. But it's irrelevant what's going, in a way, no matter if somebody watching this, if you're having there's a negative situation in your life right now, financially, physically, whatever, it almost doesn't matter how or why you got there. What really matters is to realize what's possible, and to be able to release from and understand that your current situation is just a reflection of you're buying into your fears in the past, that you were worried about what was going to happen, right? Like for me, I got into a very bad situation because I was afraid, what would happen if this doesn't work? What would happen if this doesn't work? What would happen if this doesn't result in the freedom in my life? Right? And from that thinking, I created for a while a negative situation until I snapped out of it. And that's actually when I stumbled across this, because it got really bad. It got really bad for a while there, because I was diving into stuff, but it was coming from a fear place. I was coming from a fear place until I switched gears. And that's when everything started to change. And, you know, all of a sudden options popped up in front of me like this, and opportunities within it, and listening to taking the action within it, and all that sort of stuff. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I know that may not be, you know, I won't go diving down that dark hole anymore. I will snap. If it pops up, I acknowledge it, because it's there. The fears are there, right? And they're usually like thoughts that are floating out there, that are all floating out there. And if I find myself going there, I actually acknowledge it as, it's almost like the universe reminding me to go deep back into the reality of what is possible. Thank you. Nope. Changing the channel, because I'm not buying into it anymore. I'm just not. Thankful that it's conscious in my mind, because it's better to have it become conscious, right, than have it unconscious. But frankly, for me, replacing it, I used to think that digging into my past and all the negative was going to fix it all, but it doesn't. It just drives more of it forward. And so instead, it's like when it does pop up, I'm like, oh, I see it. I've separated from it. It's not real. It's not reality with a capital R, right? And that reminding me to dig deeper into my faith and my belief and my awareness of what is possible. Does that, I don't know. That's my take on that. I know it's a big, long, hairy thing, but it's something I've dealt with in a deep way. You know, and it's a process. It's always a process, right? There's always levels.
And I think that's what this was going after, is to help you take those questions and go through the process. That's why the next step is, what steps are you going to do? What are the outcomes or benefits? What are you going to do? If this happened, what are you going to do? Why are you putting this off? And he says, consider what we fear doing most is usually what we most need to do. And he just puts implants these different questions for you to get yourself to that important habit of taking action and not going there. We need to reset that awareness to go in the right direction.
So keep taking action, but taking action from a place of being excited about what's happening, what's possible, as opposed to taking action out of fear of preventing a negative future. There's a big difference. There's a huge difference between taking action out of, oh, I have to do stuff, but otherwise this bad thing's going to happen, right? Versus, wow, this is my dream. This is, wow, this is happening. In this moment, what am I taking action on now? What's my next step in this? Going for, the dream that is. It's like the awareness that it's already ours and that we're taking action in that direction versus, versus doing things out of fear of fear of failure if I don't. It's a different results happen from it, coming from a very different, depending on, for me, I've noticed very different results depending on what space I'm in.
And then he goes through, he's doing step 1D is for definition, and still goes on through page 67 of tons of questions and actions, and being able to take that. What would you do if there was no way you could fail? If you were 10 times smarter than the rest of the world, and really kind of making that imagination happen for you. And what happens if you don't have that imagination, things that you can relate to, like he talks about, what would you do day by day if you had 100 million in your bank? What makes you most excited to wake up every morning, every day, to tap into that imagination of what does being entail doing. I love that.
I love that. What would you do if you had $100 million in the bank? Because what that does is it immediately places you in the space of abundance, right? And then living, figuring out what your passions are, what you do in the moment, and then, or what would you do if everything you did worked? No matter what you did, it was going to work. What would you do?
That's scary.
I love it. It's like those two things are really powerful questions to ask. What would I do if I had how would I be living this moment? What would I be doing this exact moment? So I've got $100 million in the bank. What am I doing right now? That feeling of abundance. Oh, I have $100 million in the bank. All's good. What do I feel like doing in the moment? What am I going to do in the moment? What is this?
Oh, but what's the best, Valerie, is that he really applies to those that are the technical and the analytical. Like, he really breaks down your monthly income and wants you to calculate that. So he takes a whole page or more to calculate, that $100 million. What are you going to have for, that car? What are your going to expenses per month? I mean, he breaks it down.
That's great.
Target monthly income and everything. It's kind of jargon for me because I'm not the analytical mind.
No, but I love that, like making it real and stuff. I mean, it's like, I think I've talked about it. It's the first time when I had nothing and I had to, get myself to an event, and the transition that got me there into taking the action and attracting what I needed.
Oh my goodness, I'm still doing that, Valerie.
Yeah, it was like,
you force me out every time.
Yeah, but it's like packing. No, I'm packing for a bit. I'm planning. Like, think about it. When you have the funds to do something, if you've ever had the funds, you're going to go on this vacation.
Or you don't have the funds. Oh,
right. But when you do, you're looking at you watch like search for places. You're online, you're looking at, what would the kind of place I'd want to stay. So those of you, let's say you're watching this and your thing is travel, right? And you're looking at your bank account, and you don't see it like realistically right there, but that doesn't mean that you're not going to create it. That's the thing. At any moment in time, anything can shift, right? Like I think about last week, one day I wake up in the morning and then I went to bed that night and I made $3,000. So it's like, you just don't know when that's going to happen. Anything can happen. Anything can shift in a moment, especially if you keep moving yourself in position and you have, systems in place and stuff. And it's like, but that's just it is. It's like having that space of anything is possible and taking action towards it. Like, what do I need to do in the moment? Like it was an awareness that I had. Like when I was an attorney and I had the money to go on vacation, what did I do? And this was a shift for me when I shifted out of having the job and I started building up my business. And it was like one of the beginning shifts when I was like starting from nowhere. And it was like, okay, well, I look and I plan. Where am I going to go? Where am I going to stay? What am I going to do? I got to pack and this and that. So for your if your thing is travel, where do you want to go? What place do you want to go to? What kind of place do you want to stay? Are you the kind of person that wants to be on, hanging on the beach? You want to do this? Are you an adventurer?
Or if you're like me, I don't even know if it's possible to get a passport. So I'm still working on getting my daughter's a passport. So that's like the first step going, I know we want to go somewhere, but the first step would probably be to get a passport.
Exactly. That's just it. Get a freaking passport. If you want to travel and you're out there and you want to go internationally, you want to do these things, what are the steps? Okay, well, I need a passport. Okay, great. I need a passport. My kids need passports. What do they need for the passport? Okay, they got to have pictures. You got to have this. You got to have the approval of this, that, and the other thing, whatever pieces of paper that you need to do.
I still don't have all the papers done. So.
Right. But you know what I mean? Like when I had to, it was like the first step because it's just one of those things is you make the assumption that you're doing these things, you take action on them. There's certain things that you can do and it'll start opening up the process of action of what things to do in the process of what you need to do in the moment, right? But thinking like the person, like you already have it. I haven't heard $1 million. How am I living life? What do you do? But there's certain things you would do in the process of research, right? You'd be researching where you want to go, what kind of thing, how do you want to live, all those different things. I love that. And making the assumption that no matter what you do, like I think I've talked about this, those of you who know me, the Harry Potter movie where Harry drinks this luck potion and when you drink the luck potion, anything you do is the right thing, right? You're in the right place at the right time. And sometimes the ideas and the things that pop up might not be connected to what might seem like quote unquote rational reality or whatever, right? Like you wanted to get this answer from this professor. Well, you would think the thing would be to do is go to the professor's office. And the first thing that comes to you is like, no, I think I'm going to take a walk. He's like listening to his life. It's part of this is opening up and listening to your life, knowing that everything is going to work, knowing that the universe is working in your favor, knowing that your dreams are already yours, because the moment you see them, they are. They're yours in the invisible. They just are. And if you have that perspective and understanding, get that and say, okay,
yeah.
In this moment, what am I doing?
That's why I have a hard time going, I've got to imagine retirement. What does the retirement look like for some people now? And what do they want to do? And I think that was like creating something different than what you're doing, or is it the same thing? I think that's why I'm having a hard perspective going. When someone says they're retired at a certain age, what does retirement really mean for them?
Yeah, well, I think for a lot of people think of retirement as just like in the standard that they're not working a job, right? But I'll tell you, a lot of people that do retire, if they've managed to have some kind of funds where they're not just barely getting by, because that's what happens for most people when they retire from the corporate world, and they think they're going to rely on what the government gives them. It's like, oh, please. But the thing is it's like, that if they are in a position where they've got some, they want to find something to do. A lot of them are looking for volunteer. They're doing things. So it's more a matter of going, how do you want to live your life, right? You want to retire now, retire from your job. You can retire from your job, create a new world, create a new way of doing. There are other ways to do stuff. It doesn't have to be the job. It really doesn't. And in fact, that's a classic way if what you want is to be able to have, why wait till you're in your 60s or 70s to do certain things, and then you can still be restricted by on a what do you call it? They call it fixed income, right? Retirement is actually called fixed income, really, for folks. And it's about really digging in and finding out what is it that you want. What would be your perfect day? How would you want to live? I'm sure this book digs deep into those questions and stuff, right? As you dig into it.
Yeah, the next step on page 72 is determining 3 steps for each of those 4 dreams on your 6-month timeline, and take the first step now. So he tells you, first, let's focus on those critical first steps and define 3 steps for each dream to make them a closer actualization. So he goes to how you are putting these into organizing them in a way, 3 steps for each 4 goals, and complete the 3 actions in the now column. Do it now. And each of these should be simple enough to do in 5 minutes or less. If not, you've really got to narrow it down. What is the action you're going to take right now? And it stops you going, I gotta go do this right now, because it's so simple to lay it out like that.
Yeah, I love that. I love that he's getting you to open up into the now actions based on your dreams. And the key thing is it's like that's always growing, right? Every time, every day, every moment, it's like, and you might write out those 3 things, whatever those things are, and in the moment, you might get an instinct that says, I need to do this right now. I'm just going to say, listen to that too, because he's getting you started on the path, and the step through that is to take it past that, to always be going and always be open in the moment, even within, I'm going to do this. There's the micro of, in this moment, how am I doing this particular piece of it? Or all of a sudden I get an instinct that, you know what, I need to go over here and do this right now, right? And just to listen to that gut. Like sometimes, I don't know if you've had the instincts, I'm sure I've seen you've had it, where all of a sudden it's like, I got to shoot a video about this. I just had this insight. I need to share a video and share. And it wasn't part of your to-do list, but all of a sudden it pops up, right? Something happens, it pops up, and it's in the moment, it's right in front of you, where there's this inspiration to take action. Does that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that this guides into the starting point of it, and then just to keep it flowing. Keep it flowing.
I love it. So that was just part 1 of the definition. There are like 4 other parts, and we would go into step 2, E for elimination, and I'll have to get back to the chapter titles to remember. I think I told it at the beginning. I said I got to tell you what's inside this book before I get into it. Step 1 is D for definition. Step 2 is E for elimination. Step 3 is A for automation. I'm all about that. And step 4 is L for liberation. That's the one I'm going to need some work on. So what is your goal, Valerie? We're almost hitting the top of the hour. I don't want to keep people here too long. Would you recommend doing it next week and kind of tapping into maybe a couple more of these, or trying to finish it up, or whatever we need to do? But I think it'd be too rushed if we try to finish all of it right now.
Yeah, I think giving it a part 2 would really help, because this book deserves that. It has transformed people's lives. So
it's transforming our lives right now.
In a powerful way. So I think it's worthy of that. It's definitely worthy of that,
Yeah. So pick it up, go find it on Amazon, something, get your 4-hour work week book, and dive down to reviewing what we discussed on defining exactly what you want. Being very clear is so critical. And every day I'm getting clearer and clearer, and it's so helpful, I'm telling you. And that's I think where the definition comes from on being able to really get the most out of this book and how you're going to take action with it. And so next week, we may come out with a new time. Keisha can't come out on this time. She's been really frustrated. She wants to be out here. And I think we would get so many more people benefiting from having a later evening time, even though I'm not sure if we have any UK viewers or where people are watching from, but they're stuck in their JOBs and they really want to figure out a way to get out with this book, The 4-Hour Work Week. We got to learn this. So we're going to come out on an evening time. We're not sure exactly yet, and we'll review. We'll go more into the insights of this book. So be sure to pick this up and keep reading and be fresh on this book when we come out next Tuesday in the evening time for you guys to be able to really make this most of an impact where you can take action with it. Any other insights, Valerie, before we close it out?
Yeah, just allow yourself, when you're coming up with this, always open it up to more good than you can possibly imagine. So getting that clarity and then still opening up to more good than you can possibly imagine, because it's there, it's possible.
It is. No matter what challenges come in my way or courts I have to go through, I'm going to make it happen.
Yep.
So, I'm in that mode right now. So
All things are possible.
I am dreaming it. All right, guys, we'll see you next week, and connect with us. If you want to come out and share some of your insights as well, message us, Valerie, on our Millionaire Mindset fan page. Just say I have a little insights you want to share from what's transformed you as well.
Right here on the page below. On the
yeah,
video.
right here on our Hangout page, millionairemindset.com. Message me, Alicia Stringer. I think my name went away, but and then Valerie out there, or Keisha, anybody to give you insights on this next Hangout. Say I'd like to come out. It's going to be in the evening time. I'm not sure exactly when, but we'll make sure we announce it ahead of time so you can prepare for that. And thank you guys for watching today, and I hope you got tons of value. Share some insights of what you got out in the comments as well, and we really appreciate you watching and being here with us today. So thanks, guys. We'll see you next week. Bye now.